This review will cover the case of the 1966 Texas Tower shooting that took place on August 1st of that year. And the shooter was Charles Whitman, who's pictured here. And let me give you a little background on him. At age 12, he was the youngest Eagle Scout in all of the United States. By age 16, he was believed to be the finest marksman in all of Austin, Texas. And he ended up joining the Marine Corps. After the Marine Corps, he went to college at the University of Texas at Austin. And on August 1st of that year, he went to the Texas tower and climbed it with a conglomerate of weapons and opened fire, and for 96 minutes kept shooting until he was actually killed himself. And let me give some little more background here. One moment, please.
Of the clock tower at the University of Texas and began shooting.
There's no report as to who this man may be, or what he's doing up there, or what prompted this apparent madness.
He had the whole program set up for himself. He was in the killing field, and he was the killer.
In 96 minutes, Charlie Whitman gunned down 45 strangers, killing 14. It was a murder spree that changed America forever.
And that's a picture of him on the cover of a magazine that looks like it was Time magazine. He was on the cover after this took place. And back in this particular era, shootings like this really didn't take place. And here's a little more information about the shooting. One moment, please. Let me get this on the screen here. And
Ladies and gentlemen, here is a KLRN News Bulletin. Once again, a sniper has taken up a position on the observation deck, on the tower, on the main building, on the campus of the University of Texas, and is firing with his high-powered rifle at people on the campus.
As the tower's chimes sounded out the noon hour, the city of Austin began to witness the siege live on television. The public broadcasting station, KLRN, made history that day by airing the sniper attacks live on television.
There he is, right in that hole.
What he was doing was so preposterous, no one could actually believe it was taking place. The program director...
back then, it was harder to have live video. Technology wasn't advanced, but that particular day, news crews went to the college and were able to acquire some live video of the shooting as it took place. And not only did Charles Whitman shoot at people in the college, but he had a scope, and he could shoot at people 500 yards away. So the people in Austin were also shot at, who were actually in the city. And let me get a little more information on here. One moment, please. Here's a little more.
And then went back and took the dolly and wedged it against the only door that you could use to get out onto the deck. And so he took guns and he spread them out, guns and supplies and a bunch of different things, and he spread them out in all directions so that he could run from one place to the next and shoot.
The university green stretched out on three sides in idyllic summer mode, with students strolling the walks across campus between classes.
August 1st, 1966 was a typical, hot, steamy August day in Austin, Texas. Summer school was in session on the campus.
Certainly, there was nothing to suggest that day anything out of the ordinary was going to go on. You know, it was a very sunny summer Texas day with no clouds in the sky and a very peaceful college campus environment, you know, that we were in.
At a cafe on busy Guadalupe Street, on the fourth side of the tower, Forrest Priest was taking his usual daily lunch break with friends.
Well, our lunchtime conversation ran over by about 5 minutes, which I think was instrumental in saving my life. Any other day that semester, I would have been in the middle of the main ball.
Charles Whitman had chosen his sniper's nest with care. The clock tower's walls were more than 30 centimeters thick, making his position almost impregnable from below. Behind the imposing parapet, he had a bird's eye view in every direction. It was a spot he had thought of often.
5 years before he did it.
And there's a little more background on the actual shooting, and it went on for 96 minutes. And eventually, as it became apparent that the guns that the police officers were using when the handguns would fire at the tower, their guns wouldn't really travel that far, that high up or that far. So they had to go get better guns, and people actually went home and got their own high-powered rifles and actually fired back. Now this limited his ability to shoot. He had to shoot from drainage pipes, and this limited his ability to his shooting capabilities and after a while, 3 police officers, as well as 2 police officers with someone else, actually stormed the tower. And here's a little more information on that. And let me see if I can get that on the screen here. One moment, please.
And I think I remember the other officers saying that they all had their 38s too, part of jury day, so we had jury day for sure.
I'm pointing my revolver at them, and more, I smiled like I was glad to see them.
Alan Crum had followed Ramiro Martinez.
When I first started going up the steps by myself, before Alan Crum volunteered to come up with me, I felt very lonely. And I would have gone. I would have continued by myself. But I tell you what, that Alan Crum, when he volunteered to go with me, that was like the Rock of Gibraltar.
They went up to the observation deck. Officer Martinez went outside, backed up by Houston McCoy, armed with a shotgun, and Alan Crum.
All of us followed Martinez out. And I turned around and with my back to Martinez, I told the civilian, you just stay right here and shoot anything that comes around that southwest corner.
All around them, bullets fired by people on the ground were hitting the tower's walls and parapet.
3 splats hit right above my head for ground fire. Somebody saw my head, and they didn't aim too good.
Over 90 minutes, 45 people had been shot. While Alan Crum kept watch at the southwest corner, Ramiro Martinez and Houston McCoy moved toward the northeast. The nervous civilian accidentally fired his weapon. It alerted Whitman, who had taken refuge from the withering fire below the parapet on the tower's north side.
He was sitting there, and when Crum fired the round, he was looking south, and Martinez and McCoy came around from the northeast side.
I fired a shot at him right away.
And they were able to overcome him and with the shooting and end the process. Prior to that, an airplane was sent up and with a police marksman to try to see what was actually happening up there and perhaps shoot at the shooter or shooters. They weren't really sure if it was one shooter or several. And Charles Whitman shot at the airplane, and they had to abort that process. And after they were able to overcome him with firepower, here's a little more information what happened after that. One moment, please. There we go.
The police department announced over the radios that it's all over.
After that, Martinez run downstairs hollering, I got him, I got him, I got him.
This is Neil Spells with the bulletin from the KTBC radio newsroom.
The sniper is dead.
It didn't seem like 90 minutes, it seemed.
And they were able to, that's when they announced it. And exactly why he went up to do all the shooting has just really never been answered. And psychologists and who've addressed this issue come up with different theories and stuff like that. And here's some final information here. One moment, please.
Quite know what compels me to write this letter. I don't really understand myself these days.
He felt very strongly that he just had to write. And although it may have been incriminating, he couldn't control it. He just had to put it on paper.
The final death toll for Charles Whitman's murderous spree is 16 dead and 32 wounded. The 16th victim, David Gunby, died in 2001 of complications from a wound inflicted on August the 1st, 1966. But the victims weren't all in Austin. Something in America changed that day.
What he did changed a lot of things in this country. I think it really did take away our sense of safety in public places.
I think Charles Whitman's legacy is that he left us with a sense of place that was no longer private and safe, that we always had to kind of look around a little bit. And that's a horrible legacy to have left behind.
And that's a little bit of final information there. And as I said earlier, these types of shootings really didn't take place back then in that era. I guess that should do it. Hopefully everything uploaded okay. And I tried to get everything quick here, try to get all the information in. And I guess that should do it. And let me get some final picture on the screen there. One moment, please.